Welcome, everyone. We'll wait a few more minutes as people are getting logged on, but we're so glad that you're able to join us this evening. All right. We will go ahead and get started. Good evening. My name is Brian Winklebauer. I'm the CEO of the Minds Foundation. And again, thank you so much for joining us. Yay, another Zoom call. We obviously wish we could be together with you in person, but understand that this is our reality right now. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight, and hopefully you'll get a chance to get a peek into what's going on at Minds these days. Our last State of Minds virtual event was back in May 26th, I think, and a lot has happened since then. A lot of good things have happened since then, and our goal with these is to communicate to our alumni and supporters a bit more in detail about what's happening. You're important stakeholders, and we want you to be in the know. We realize that a lot of families are joining us tonight as well, which is wonderful, and welcome to you all. Many families might have more specific questions, and we understand that. We're going to do our best with our fantastic panel to, through introductory remarks and then a Q&A session, to get through as many of the questions that we received as possible. But for those who felt like they didn't get their question answered in the detail they like, we will commit to responding to you after the meeting in a different way. So look for that. But boy, this has been a crazy year for everyone, and we all realize the challenges we all have experienced in different ways, and certainly Minds is no exception. But Minds seems to be a bright light during these times, and I hope tonight you will sense the pride that a lot of us have, including myself, with how Minds has handled these situations, these challenges, and how our external stakeholders have been so supportive of what's been going on. I know as a parent myself, I have a child at another university. I've had the opportunity to kind of compare, and I just got to tell you, it reinforces how much pride that I have in working with my colleagues in the effort that has been put forward to put us in a great position this fall and in the future. Certainly grateful to the amount of engagement and involvement from Minds alumni recently. Minds alumni have stepped up. They have been volunteers, they've been advocates, they've been involved, they've been supportive financially, and thanks to the Minds Alumni Board of Directors for their leadership and helping to set the example for our more engaged alumni base. I'm so proud and grateful to all the donors who have stepped up to meet the immediate and long-term financial needs. Our Board of Governors, the Minds Foundation Board of Governors, have really also provided exceptional leadership. We had a record-breaking fundraising year last year. We exceeded our goals for developing resources for the Student Emergency Fund, which was and still continues to be a critical need for campus. And obviously Mines is going to continue to need private support now and in the future to meet our expectations of excellence. And I'm really proud and honored to work with my colleagues at Mines. And you're going to hear from many of them tonight. They are thoughtful. They've been committed to the student experience, to the Mines experience, which is extraordinarily special, as you know, and have developed solutions that have accommodated the needs of various constituents, our students, faculty and staff. And it's amazing how all of those needs have been met, considering the constraints that we've been under. So I feel really good that we, as a university, are retaining the Mines experience to the degree we're able, and ensuring that Mines is Mines. So with that, let's get to it. I'm happy to introduce the 17th president of Mines and Professor Paul Johnson, who will give a little bit of an overview of what's going on at Mines. Paul.
All right. Hey, thank you, Brian. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm excited to be here. I was looking through the list of participants. I see trustees on there, Board of Governors members. We've got faculty in there. We've got parents in there. Great supporters of Mines are on there. Heck, even my old college roommate is in this list. So what could be more fun than all of us together on this tonight? So what I want to do is sort of set the stage for what we've been doing this fall, and a little bit thinking forward to the future. And then you're going to hear some deeper dives from a few of my colleagues here at Mines. And you know, back in May, we made the decision. Our goal was to be open this fall, right? We wanted to be open. We wanted to provide as much of that signature Mines education as we could, as well as the Mines experience for students who were going to be here. We wanted to make sure we provided opportunities for all students, no matter what their situation was, to be able to advance towards their degree program. And we wanted to make sure that we were supporting everybody. Of course, that was really easy to say, but you know, there are a lot of things we had to deal with. A lot of constraints, a lot of restrictions on things. Obviously, we've got state and county health guidelines we have to deal with that require certain spacing. Obviously, face coverings. That immediately reduced the classroom capacity by about 50%. So that's immediately on the table we have to deal with. We've got you know, all types of faculty, and some of them in this situation can't be in the classroom, right? So we've got to find a way to help out the faculty. We've got basically 3 different groups of students right now. We've got students who are here and they want to be in in-person classes. We've got students who, for various health reasons, can't be on campus and in in-person classes. And we've got students who are periodically going to be quarantined or isolated, and for that reason can't be in the classroom for some period of time. And we need to figure out some way where all of those students can advance in their programs and have access to the classes that they need and all those things. You know, we're also doing this under conditions under which state of Colorado has very significant financial hardships. You know, all states are experiencing that right now as well, but you know, that's leading to very significant declines in state investment in the university. At the same time, we recognize that our students and their families are probably feeling some of the same economic challenges as well. And so we've basically got a big design problem, right? We're engineers, we're scientists, we've got a big design problem. We're going to figure out how to make this work. And that's basically what we focused on all summer and what we've been continuing to do. So what have we done? Well, we've designed an academic schedule that at least can accommodate all the students, and it has a prioritization in there for the constraints on the classroom space for those things that are most important to the Mines experience, the hands-on experiences, the design classes, and building community amongst our students as they're coming in. We've managed to keep tuition flat from last year to this year. to help out on the economic side of things. We've made investments in technology and things that were necessary to make this all happen. We've continued student services throughout all this, and we've worked really hard to develop a culture of that is what's needed for all of us to stay together this semester. The culture of looking out for everybody else on campus, making personal sacrifices that are in the good of the whole community, the wearing of masks, the social distancing, all of those kinds of things, and rewarding that behavior. You know, you hear about most universities are sort of punishing the opposite behavior. We're trying to do this in a very supportive and rewarding fashion for our students. And then we are just learning and adjusting as we go along, right? Just like any good engineers work on any process. As you gather more data, you make adjustments and you optimize and you know, as you get a better handle on things, maybe you can add more options to the university and more things to students to do. So that's what we've been doing, and you're going to hear more details about what's been going on in the classroom and the academic side of things, what we're doing on the student support side, what we're doing to protect the health of the community here at Mines, and my colleagues are going to do that. But I thought I would end my comments with a little story that to me really epitomizes what Mines is about and how Mines is responding at this time. So, like all of you who are alums or have been affiliated for Mines for a long time know that one of our most sort of precious symbols of Mines and the beacon of everything that is the Mines campus in Golden is the M up on Mount Zion, right? If you've been here, you've got a rock up there. I've got a rock up there from my first year here. That M climb is the signature welcoming experience for all students. And you know what? We could not do it the way that we wanted to this year because of health considerations and input from the county and things like that. But we didn't want to just sort of give up, right? We didn't want to say, oh, can't do it, scrap that part of the whole thing. You know, we sat down, we thought about it, and the campus came up with a great idea, which I've been hiding behind me right now. So I'll move to the side for a minute. And what you'll see there is what we decided to do is we couldn't add rocks to the M up on the hill. So we decided we were going to create an M on the hill on campus. And this M has the rocks from all of this year's freshman class. The students, the upper class students, devised a walk around campus and a discussion that went along with that walk that introduced all of our students to many of our traditions and things that we all love about Mines. And at the end of that, they all deposited their rocks on the M. The M was painted on the hillside. And I got to tell you, whenever I go by that M on campus, it makes me so proud to be part of Mines. It just, you know, it's the symbol for me of this year, which is, hey, maybe we can't do things exactly the way we've always done things. And maybe things won't be quite perfect. But, you know, we're going to come up with some pretty damn good solutions to it and some options. And when we look back on what happened this year, I think we're going to be really proud of what happened at Mines. So I just want to thank all of you who are on the call today, and thanks for being so supportive of the university. Without you, we couldn't do half the things that we do. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our provost, Dr. Rick Holtz. And Rick's going to tell you about some of the things going on the academic side of the house.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. And thank you all for being here. It's great to be able to be with you. And as Brian said, obviously we would like to be with you in person, but it's wonderful to get a chance to let you know about some of the things that have been going on the academic side of the institution. So just to give you a little update on where we are student-wise, we have about 150 more students registered at Mines. That's both undergraduate and graduate than we did last year. And I'm very excited about that, given the very difficult environment that we're in. That really shows the strength of a Mines education and the fact that our students want to come back to Mines and new students want to join the Mines community. As Paul said, when we worked all summer long to try to develop what fall would look like, what we came up with is 73% of our sections have some in-person interactions. And we focused on things like labs, design classes, recitation sections, all those kind of classes that are central to real transformative Mines education that we're really known for. And as Paul also indicated, I think as far as I can tell, with all the reading I've done, we have more in-person opportunities for students than just about any other university in the country. And with McNeil Hall opening, and this is a picture of McNeil Hall behind me of a class, our Cornerstone class that's in this brand new building. We have an additional 1,000 students who started the academic year remotely who have now shifted to in-person design class. So we're very, very excited about that. We did have to follow the state of Colorado guidelines in social distancing and mask wearing, which did decrease the number of seats we had available. And we did prioritize our freshman students to be in person this year because we wanted them to be able to have that Minds experience and feel a connection to the institution and to their colleagues. So next semester, we're looking at a mix of trying to increase the number of face-to-face interactions for students because our classrooms have been run really well and they've been incredibly safe. And so we're very, very happy about that fact. And so we are trying to develop more in-person opportunities for our students. And we are going to make sure that we're adding additional in-person opportunities for seniors, both 300 and 400 level courses, so juniors and seniors, because we realize that some of our upper division students have had more remote sections than they maybe wanted this year. And all of our academic schedules that we're working on in spring are to make sure that our students have the ability to graduate and can proceed towards their graduation this spring. One thing you need to remember is that all our faculty are teaching in multiple modes at the same time. So when every face-to-face class we have, those classes are also being offered remotely. We invested more than $1 million this summer in classrooms to equip them with lecture capture recording. So any student can take a face-to-face classroom and still be following and getting the information in a remote fashion. Overall, our students have indicated they're quite happy with what we've been doing, and so we're very proud of that. And the last thing I'd just like to say is that, based on our Minds at 150's goal, our faculty really stepped up in the spring along with our dean's leadership. And we've initiated 19 graduate certificates and 6 new graduate programs, combination of master's, non-thesis masters, and a PhD program that all began this fall. So even though the pandemic has caused us to make changes in the way we're delivering our education, we're still moving forward and in many cases accelerating the Minds at 150 plan because it's so important to our future. So with that, I would like to pass it over to Peter Hahn, who's the Chief of Staff and Vice President of External Relations. Peter.
Thank you, Rick. I'm thrilled to be here today. I've been asked to just kind of give an update a little bit about our testing program, COVID testing program, not physics testing program. So, as many of you know, one of the challenges for college campuses opening successfully this semester was sort of develop a testing program. And this was a bit of a unique challenge for us because unlike many of the larger universities, we do not have an affiliated hospital or nursing program. We were able to develop a partnership with a nonprofit organization called COVID Check Colorado. This is a group that was able to establish an actual testing site on campus. It's located in the parking lot of 6th and 19th Street. It allows for students or other testing participants to drive up or walk up. So it's right on campus, and that was a very big, important factor for us. Our testing program does use PCR tests, and we've been able to get results within somewhere around the 36, 48-hour time frame. Occasionally it goes a little bit beyond that, but it's been a pretty good turnaround time frame. We prioritized for testings because it was a bit of a capacity issue. We did prioritize students in residence halls, fraternities and sororities, athletes, faculty and staff, and teaching assistants who are teaching in person or working with students directly on campus. And we're looking at ways so we can expand availability of testing to other people on campus as well. It was important for us that we could provide testing free of charge. And so students do not have to pay for the tests when they do get their tests. So, so far we've had a pretty good, successful program. We've run it, I think we're completing our 4th week of testing. And we've had good participation, good enthusiasm from the students who've been participating. And again, having it on campus was a very important part. Our test results are on our website for those who want to sort of check to see how we're doing. Our positivity rate, because we are sort of doing a surveillance testing, is obviously lower than the state, which is good, and it's lower than a lot of universities, which is very, very good for us. It's hovering somewhere. We're sort of tracking it every 2-week period of time. It's hovering in sort of in the 0.5%, and actually, I think this last 2 weeks it's actually even lower than that. So all very good news. We do have cases on campus, obviously, but obviously we've been able to keep those cases pretty minimally so far. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on what we're doing in terms of testing so that we can help mitigate the spread of the virus on campus. And I would like to turn it over to our Vice President for Student Life, Dan Fox.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here as well. And so in student life, there's several things I'll try to go through pretty quickly. As you may know, we opened 2 new residence halls this fall in August, Spruce Hall and 1750 Jackson. We are housing about 1,900 students on campus this fall, which equates to about 75% of our full capacity in prior years. We've reconfigured our dining to match all the COVID safety measures in place. We've just partnered with Grubhub right before the beginning of the year for mobile ordering as well as pickup and delivery options for our students. And that's been a strong adoption. I checked early this afternoon and we'd had about 260 students use it this afternoon before dinner. And then we'll be opening Zyme Cafe, which is another venue for us here in about a month or so. So feeling good about that. In terms of campus living and student success, when you think about the academic support side for our students, our full portfolio of additional student-facing support services remain fully available to and accessible to our students. Some of them are in a hybrid mode, some of them are remote, and a lot of them are still in person. So if you think about that, some examples of that would be our advising center, our professional advising as well, our disability support services, our care assistance team, career services, and other academic support and tutoring and so forth. And so we've made a nice pivot there and used technology to really help with that. Obviously, I think about with this year a challenge with mental well-being and the support initiatives that we are doing as a result. It's a more important issue than ever, given the present conditions and certainly concerns with freshman students, particularly as they come and start building affinity with the institution. Worry about student isolation or disconnection, and that community formation that's so important as being an ore digger, and then the support that goes beyond that. We really have a myriad of opportunities that exist and in those that we're creating as we move along, because we know these times are particularly challenging. And so we're trying to tackle that on multiple fronts, whether that be physical support, emotional support, and exercise, and all the other things as well. Our counseling center is offering virtual drop-in group and individual appointments to address kind of tips and shared experiences and individual concerns in a very supportive and inclusive environment. And certainly referrals as well. We do have free online through ADP in terms of free online telehealth and telecounseling services. We're providing wellness skills seminars and individual short-term therapy in different formats and modalities. We also have created some mindfulness workshops that are weekly meditation types of workshops and anxiety relief and those types of things. And Wellness Wednesdays are new programs as well, where we're trying to do different things to make sure we're addressing students' needs and comfort and making them feel as comfortable as they can be, particularly if they're new to the environment. We also had an Every Ore Digger Every Ore Digger initiative that we started several years ago. And that's a campus-wide initiative aimed at promoting mental health and championing resiliency as we think about changing our culture more and more, and our direct services and our campus support. We're doing internal training related to that right now, again, through QPR training. We also have an app that we started 2 years ago that's being used even more so now, called You at Minds. So students can access resources and support at any hour of the day and any time that they so wish and desire to that. I mean, ultimately, we pledge to be a community that encourages and supports the well-being of everybody that's a member of this community. Another thing that we're doing that's a bit new and different is an offshoot from the Every Ore Digger initiative is we're working with faculty and students and looking at building what's called a building well-being project. And it's an offshoot, and we're looking at the ambiance of our buildings and how we can continue to make them more personalized, more minds-like, more home, and more inspirational to our students, seeing those that have come before them and seeing things that they can aspire to be and be inspired by. Intramurals and fitness, I get a lot of questions about that. Our rec center reopened successfully on July 22nd. It has remained open since that time frame. And so we are providing opportunity for students to exercise. Most of our intramural and fitness programs are outside at present, while we can take advantage of the beautiful Colorado weather and the fall scenery and so forth. Some of the programs that we're providing right now are Cam Jam and Spike Ball, badminton, cornhole. We're doing structured basketball shoot-arounds like the game of horse and things that we can think of like that, Frisbee golf, and we're doing a lot of esports as well for students so they can get some recreation in. And hopefully some exercise as well. We've also expanded our hours and changed our hours for that as well. The outdoor recreation program is open for rentals. We are seeing a lot of students renting equipment. We're not able to do trips per se right now because of the transportation limitations and getting people there and back, but we're doing local activities, hikes, and things like that where we can do that in a safe and responsible manner. And so I think that's good as well. I get a lot of questions as well about student engagement activities and other extracurricular activities that are happening on campus. Our student organizations are getting rolling right now. They are still active. Some are ahead of others, and it's a combination. Some are meeting in person, some are meeting virtually, and some is a combination of both, depending on the nature of what they're trying to achieve this semester as they set goals and start moving forward in those different organizations. We just completed our our fraternity and student life recruitment week last week. That went very well. It was a combination of events in terms of virtual and in person as well. It really went good. So our Greek system numbers were very similar to what they were last year, down just a little bit in terms of our fraternities and our sororities, but they were strong as well. And so I was encouraged by that activity. And then and the last thing I would talk about quickly is NCAA athletics and recreation or club sports. As hopefully maybe some of you know, unfortunately our high-risk fall sport competitions have been moved to the spring semester, which entails football, men's and women's soccer, and volleyball. So these sports, they'll be practicing and they'll be working out and conditioning and so forth throughout the fall in preparation for hopefully being able to play in the spring. Our winter sports are still doing what they would normally do, and we'll wait and see what happens there. Hopefully you saw yesterday we had our first official NCAA competition over 3 days of golf. In our golf competition, our golf team prevailed and won the championship and won the individual champion too. Tim Amundsen won that. And so that was really great to see. So we have had a competition, and officially we're undefeated for the year right now. We're 1-0. So I'll take that. I like that winning percentage. We do not have club sport competitions for the fall. That's determined by NERSA, which is a guiding agency and so forth. But we are still working with those students because we recognize the importance of students being able to study, but also, recreate and exercise and keep themselves well. So I'll leave it at that. It's my honor to get to introduce Hansel Kleeman. And Hansel is one of our amazing students. She's a senior studying mechanical engineering. She also has the honor of representing the undergrad and the graduate students as our Student Board of Trustee rep. She's also notably involved in the McBride Honors Program, Engineering Grand Challenges. She's a member of the Blue Key Honor Society, Pi Beta Phi Society, the Society of Women Engineers, and an American Society of Mechanical Engineers. So, and also a member of student government. So she connects with her peers and works to improve the student experience. She's such a remarkable person. So there you go, Hansel, light them up.
Oh, thanks, Dan. As alluded to, the current situation is not what the students had imagined, but I am pleased, and I think my peers are pleased with the efforts of the institution and with how well our student experience is going. I think it'll help if I talk about the student perspective in terms of our goals for our student experience. So personally, as a student, I have 3 main goals. So 1, academic success, 2, professional development, and 3, connecting with my peers. And if parents are watching, I apologize, but I think connecting with peers is what students were most concerned with going into this semester. So I'll say, as someone who is a hybrid student, meaning half of my classes are online and half of my classes are in person, that all of my professors have done a remarkable job making sure that they're creating a classroom environment that allows me to get to know my peers. I'll also say that many of the organizations I'm a part of are still very active. To use tennis as an example, I'm still able to go out and play with friends. We just have to make sure to adhere to the Orr-Digger Promise. As far as our goals for academic success, I have heard positive feedback from the student body. I'm still going to do hands-on activities in the classroom, and for senior design, collaboration is still seen as a priority. So I meet with my group in person. Again, we just make sure to adhere to the Orr-Digger Promise. In terms of our goals for professional development, the student chapters I am in have had very successful meetings and events. And this Monday, I was actually able to attend the Society of Women Engineers virtual evening with industry. And I had a great experience and was able to really connect with lots of different employers. With all this said, I do think students might be frustrated at times, but ultimately, I feel like the student body and the Orr-Digger community as a whole are choosing to see the situation as a challenge that we're able to overcome rather than a barrier to our success. And I truly believe students will continue to be committed to doing their part and upholding the Orr-Digger Promise. That's all I have. I believe Brian is up again.
Thanks, Hansel. I think it's terrific to have the student perspective, and as Dan mentioned, I think you all can tell Hansel's a special student at Mines and represents the class of our student body, and they really have done a good job of abiding by the Orr-Digger Promise and understanding that we are a community. So Hansel, thank you. I know that Hansel did not miss a class to join this, right, Hansel? Yeah, good, okay. So this is the part of our virtual experience here where we'll do a little Q&A. We first want to thank all the panelists for your remarks, and hopefully those remarks were able to answer some of your questions. We did receive a lot of questions from folks during the registration process, so we are going to try to get through those. In addition to the folks that you heard from just a few minutes ago, we also have Senior Vice President and CFO Kirsten Volpe with us. We're so pleased to have her. She's in charge of money, buildings, and parking. And so pretty much all the important stuff for many of you, but we are really glad that she's here too, so she'll be able to answer some questions. There is some of you have found the Q&A chat room. You're welcome to plug some questions in there. You can also, I learned this from my staff, upvote, okay? Look at me, a Zoom qualified person here. Upvote on some of those questions, that'll help us as well. For those of you who have more specific questions, again, we'll try to get to those post-meeting in a different way. For families and students, just a reminder, and for everyone, we have a great webpage, Minds Climbs Together, that is updated regularly. Peter and his team do a great job. And then we're also sending out weekly student and family email updates, so we can keep you in the loop on what's going on, as I know that's all very important. So we'll start with a couple of questions here that we received earlier. I may combine these two. I have to answer Chairman Jerry Grandy's question, because he asked a question. I really report to him, so I have to make sure. He asked about how we compare to other universities with regard to our pandemic response. And then maybe Paul and Rick, if you might talk a little bit more about how faculty were impacted. Ben Freier asked about, are we able to still recruit good faculty, and how have the faculty been impacted? So maybe a two-parter there.
Well, looks like Rick is staring at me to start, so I'll do that. So how do we compare to other universities? Clearly, all of you have heard that there are some universities that opted out of this semester. They decided to go online. Pretty much most of the state of California was that way. Some other places, Ivy League schools, all decided not to do in-person classes this fall. So we're definitely distinct from that group. Of the group that has decided to be in person, as Rick mentioned, I'm pretty sure we have a much greater percentage of in-person course delivery than most other universities out there that have reopened their campuses for the fall. I think many are trying to do this, but not all have all been successful at providing opportunities for all types of students to participate in classes. As Rick and I have mentioned, we've got 3 very different groups of students, and we have to make sure all of them have opportunities to advance. I think everybody has some type of a testing program, and every group has some type of a campus community commitment to what is something similar to our Orediger Promise. I would say what's different to me is so far, I think, and I think you could pretty much sense this in listening to Hansel speak, is, I think our students, as she said, I think our students have taken this semester as a challenge, right? We said really early on, we started, let's try to do what's necessary, make the personal sacrifices that are needed so that we can all be together through December. And walking around campus, talking to students, I'm just, I'm really proud of how everyone has responded to that. So, clearly we're not one of the schools that everybody moved into and then 2 days later they pretty much closed down again. So we're got our fingers crossed. We're doing everything we can. But I do think there's, as all of you know, there is a difference between Minds and other schools. And a lot of it is community, a lot of it is pride, a lot of it is taking challenges, and a lot of it is sort of just figuring out how to get done what needs to get done. And so that's that. Rick, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just jump in about faculty hiring. So we were able to add 15 faculty to the Minds community this year. They started this fall. 50% of our tenure track faculty that we hired were women, which is really exciting to me. We did have to suspend several searches that were ongoing last spring when travel restrictions came into place, which meant we couldn't bring people to campus. So now that many of those travel restrictions are being lifted, we are again thinking about and requesting that departments let us know what they need with regard to faculty hiring and looking at cluster hiring and making some advertising for some additional positions now this fall, with the anticipation of adding some additional faculty in key areas for next fall.
Thank you both. Appreciate it. Dan, perhaps you would address the career fair. And there have been some questions about how have the, as Hansel mentioned, the professional development opportunities been impacted by this, and in particular, the career fair, which is happening this week, or part of it.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Actually, Career Fair traditionally would be one big Opus event over one day, and then lots of activity before and after. Because of the advent of employers saying that they were not either going to be able to travel, had restrictions based on COVID, also with the economy and some of the different companies out there, we had to pivot on that pretty quickly and made a decision back in the middle of the summer to go ahead and move the entire career fair onto a virtual platform. And so we engaged a company to do so and made that decision. What we did is we decided to bifurcate that, or trifurcate it actually, into 3 days, which was yesterday, today, and then in about a month, in mid-October, we will do that third day. We are actually thinking about maybe extending that a bit further, we'll see. And what it allowed us to do is to be able to have a little bit more focus on some of the different types of companies and majors, so people wouldn't all be competing all at one time in one day. So I think there were some real advantages to it. Unfortunately, yesterday we did have a bit of a blip. On the first day we had tested, everything was good to go. And when the system loaded and everybody came on, it did crash for a little bit. That was not on Minds' end, and not to point fingers, but that wasn't on our end, it was on our provider's end. We worked with them diligently and got that back up. That was a bit regrettable because it was our first day and our first attempt. Today, I just got feedback from Dr. Terry, who's over that area a little bit before this town hall, and he indicated that it went flawlessly. We did not have any blips or any problems. I've only talked to a couple students so far, and of course there's things that they had to learn about the system a little bit. It's pretty advanced system. It's not a brand new system. It's been around for over a decade, this company that uses this, and I thought it was very successful. The students are able to do things, I think, more efficiently because they're not standing in a line as long. What they can't tell is how long the line is because it's a virtual situation. And so sometimes I think students were worried that they were standing a bit too long. But from what I can tell, everything went really well today. I think it went pretty good yesterday. I think it'll go even better in a month. And this will be kind of the departure point where we'll continue with, whether it be internships or full-time employment or graduate school, the students will keep engaging. And so any parents or students that are out there, if they miss the events, it's not over for them. Please make sure that they contact the Career Services Center and work with our staff there. They're incredibly devoted to making sure that students have opportunity and that they have connection points. So don't despair in those ways. And if for some reason the student couldn't take advantage now, there's still opportunity, but also point to that October date as well, which I believe is the 17th. I don't have it right in front of me, but it's posted on the Career Services website. So I felt, considering the differences, that this was a really good career day for us. And I think we will take some of the things in the future and use this. And I think in the future, we'll have an in-person as well as what I would call virtual career day as well.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. Looking through some of the questions, perhaps we could address sort of the end of semester. Some people are asking about graduation and commencement ceremonies and things like that. Just a reminder, as Paul mentioned, we are working through all of the different variables and inputs and constraints that have been established by a lot of different agencies and that are involved in all of this and the response. So, and again, Minds has done a great job of managing through that and accommodating. And Paul, I think you had mentioned that the plan is to do some kind of in-person commencement at the end of the semester, if possible.
Yeah, Brian, that's true. We have started the planning for an in-person ceremony. It probably won't look exactly like a normal in-person ceremony. We're looking at a few different permutations, but we really would like to have that personal recognition of the great achievement of our students and the opportunity for the families to be here on campus when that happens. So I'd say stay tuned on the details. But we did start the planning for that 2 or 3 weeks ago, with that being the intent if everything goes well between now and then.
Terrific. There were several questions about the financial impact all of this has had on the university, and I know that several of the panelists alluded to it, but Kirsten, would you mind providing a brief update on the financial health, if you will?
Sure, thanks, Brian. And since I've been in charge of construction and parking too, I'll hit construction, and we have plenty of parking spaces on campus, so happy about that. But Brian alluded to in his earlier comments that, Minds right now is a bright light, and it truly is. You heard from Provost Holtz that enrollment is higher than where we were last year this time, and is certainly higher than what we planned. We planned that the pandemic would really have students maybe sit out a year and take a break, but because of the strength of a Minds education, the students wanted to come. We had new students and many students that decided to return and continue their education at Minds. So we're very thankful for the commitment that our students and their families are making to Minds. As President Johnson mentioned, the area that's probably of considerable uncertainty and continued uncertainty is the state's ability and their support in higher education. We saw a decline in this year, and that decline thankfully was made up somewhat by a federal backfill, but because of the state's situation and where their projections are, it is projected that we're likely to see more state cuts in the near future, and probably without any federal backfill. So we're being very mindful and thoughtful about what that could mean for our university. We've had to make, some really tough decisions as we were pulling together what this year was going to look like. But one thing that we made a priority, and President Johnson mentioned it earlier, is to not increase tuition for our students. So flat tuition this year. And then we also made a commitment to not cut financial aid. And we actually increased financial aid this year to make sure that our students were supported in the best way that we could. And then we've been really fortunate that as a result of our donors who just keep on giving, we've been able to continue with some initiatives that are really important for our future. On the capital side, you heard Dr. Fox mention that we have 2 new residence halls. One is on Jackson Street, and what you see behind me is not my living room, but is a student study space and lounge in Jackson Hall, which is right across the street from Safeway. But the 2 residence halls are really an important part of our Minds at 150 plan, and how we really want to make sure that our first and second year students have housing on campus. So that really moves us a long way to making that happen. And then as you saw behind Dr. Holtz, McNeil Hall is a new building with some fantastic classrooms that are also a really important part of our strategic plan, because it provides a really great environment for our first year students to learn. But we did have to put our pencils down on some projects and pause on some projects that were not funded. But I'm happy to report, because of some significant donor support, we are moving forward on 2 projects. One is an innovation hub. which again is really critical to the signature student experience. That's a pillar of our strategic plan. And what this facility will do is it will really meet the needs of our students and their hands-on learning, and really grow that part of their experience. And then we're also planning on a venture center, which will be the hub for our students and faculty entrepreneurs and their journey towards commercialization. And both of those two projects that we're planning for right now are projects that really are being led by two significant lead donors. So we're really excited about those projects and really hopeful for the future. Again, unprecedented times, uncertainty still to come, but we do a lot of planning. If this happens, then what, to try to make the situation and make the best that we can of what this pandemic has brought our way.
Thanks, Kirsten. As everyone can tell, a lot going on, a lot of good stuff happening. There have been several questions about leadership training for students, and Hansel mentioned professional development, and you heard the term from Kirsten to mine, signature student experience. And it's a very, very important aspect of the Minds at 150 vision and strategic plan. And so some of these questions are absolutely relevant. And so with regard to leadership training, professional development skills that will help our students to be successful regardless of what they decide to do after college. Paul, Dan, Ritwell, anybody really, if you would kind of hone in a little bit on what the signature student experience is all about, and some of the things that have been enabled and what we're trying to accomplish to provide for our students.
Sure, I'll jump in, and then maybe Rick or Dan or anybody else. Maybe Hansel will jump in, since she's our signature student here on the town hall. 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, we were developing our strategic plan. We went out, we talked to many of you who are here in the town hall, alums, students, faculty, everybody else, and said, okay, what do we need to be in the future? And clearly, for a university, that really values the size that we're at, wants to stay at that size, values the focus of the institution, which of course we want to continue to do. Also wants to continue to produce the engineers and scientists that society and industry need, right? That's what Minds has always done. And we need to make sure that we can continue to do that in the future. So you have to go out and say, well, what do people need for the future? And the resounding feedback that came back is, look, you prepare, Minds graduates, they're incredibly bright, they're incredibly hardworking, they're great team players, they're resilient, they get stuff done. What you need to do, though, is you need to work on building leaders, and you need to work on their business acumen, and you need to sort of prepare to launch some entrepreneurs and innovators out of the group as well. And so we really took that to heart, and that was built into the plan. A couple of the facilities that Kirsten mentioned that are part of that plan that we've had lead donors support are going to facilitate those new features of the program. We had some other donors who recently have established a fund that's specifically focused on professional development. So we're going to have a very deliberate component of our student experience that is focused on professional development. And the thing that's important to realize is when we talk about signature student experience, it's in some ways it's what's different about Minds in other places. And every school that offers engineering or science degrees has a relatively similar curriculum because they're all accredited and everything like that. The magic is, who are the faculty? What's the content that they teach? How do they inspire the students? And then what are all the things that happen outside the classroom? All those professional society activities, the fraternities, the sororities, the competition teams, all those things provide opportunities for students to have leadership and to develop communication skills and all sorts of things. And so the professional student I mean, the signature student experience that we're talking about is our way of deliberately connecting all of those things so that we really do produce graduates that they're the first choice of every recruiter who looks in any pile for looking to fill their companies. And they're the ones that are going to be starting companies. They're the ones that are going to be CEOs and leaders of companies. And so, and that experience is going to can be individualized for students as well. So we're building all of those components around. The academic side of the house is looking at how we excite and engage students in their first year. The student student activity side of the house is looking at how do we more deliberately coordinate all the activities that students so highly value outside the classroom. And then let's add these sort of new programs and new facility opportunities. So we're doubling down on hands-on experiences. We're doubling down on developing business skills, and you know, we're gonna have one heck of a graduate. We always have, we always will. We're gonna be ready for the future. So I would actually ask Hansel, since I know she's been in a lot of discussion about signature student experience, what sort of she thinks about those changes for the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, you're exactly right. And the students would be super excited to see those changes because, yeah, I mean, we have our strengths, and even I have to try very hard to make sure I'm well-rounded, and having that built in would make a huge difference for every student.
Yep. And many of the things we talk about, the innovation hub, those were actually ideas originally generated by the students that then got built into our strategic plan. So we learned long ago that the brightest people on campus are the students, and the rest of us just hang around them long enough to find the good ideas and move them forward. So.
That is the truth. That it makes all of us honored to be doing what we're doing because of our fantastic students. And so in talking about Minds at 150 and the signature student experience and all of that that's related, we just welcomed our future to campus this fall. And I hope everyone senses the true, genuine commitment to taking care of those students and ensuring that they get that Minds experience that President Johnson referred to. It's special, it's unique, it makes us distinctive as an institution. And so we want to build on that. And that's what Minds at 150 is about in a lot of ways. So maybe as we close up, being respectful of everyone's time, we could, each of you could address what does the future look like when we celebrate our sesquicentennial? See, Paul, I've been working on that. Sesquicentennial in 2024. What does Minds look like? You heard a little bit about it. What are some of the things we'd like to see as identifiers of a successful next 4 years that set us up for another great 150 years? Who wants to start with that one?
I'm going last.
Okay, Paul's going last. Dan, I know you're adept at this.
Yep, I'll bat lead off, and then by the time it's over, no one will remember what I said, which is probably best. So I will. What occurred to me immediately is that I'll go back just slightly with what President Johnson said. I've been at the institution for now, it'll be 16 years, and this year with Dr. Holst and myself, I have seen something that I haven't seen in the past, which is these things are coalescing so well right now that finally student life and academic affairs have a collaborative effort which is this signature student experience, is really starting to take shape. And that is truly and genuinely exciting to me. And so as I think about the next 4 years and us working on that, I believe we're going to produce something that has never been produced at Mines. So in 2024, I see another evolution of this institution. I see more intentionality in terms of our focus and our purpose. And I see innovation as a process that will bring that along. And we never forget where we came from. We never forget our tradition. We take what we had then and we evolve it. So I think that is something that's very exciting for me. And that's what I think about through all the different ways that Paul described and that we'll create as well. So that would be my answer too. And if I could take a liberty for 1 second, Brian, there are several people today, I think, on the call that have contributed to the Student Emergency Fund. And I just want to genuinely say thank you for doing so. We are having to tap the Student Emergency Fund very heavily this semester with students that have literally food and shelter insecurities. We have families whose their economic fortunes have changed dramatically as a result of this pandemic. We're working with them. We just most recently have contacted all the students that we're aware of from the states of Washington and Oregon and California relative to the wildfires that are occurring. We're doing that with the hurricanes down in our southern states. And so from the bottom of my heart, those of you who've contributed, that contribution makes an immediate and a wide casting net of difference. So thank you. So thanks for letting me divert for just a moment. I wanted to mention that previous, but I just didn't have the opportunity. So thanks.
Yeah, Dan, appreciate you doing that. Really, and just to echo Dan's sentiments and acknowledgement, it has made a huge difference. That Student Emergency Fund is so critical, especially right now. So thank you. Dr. Holtz, do you want to make some closing remarks?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in what's going on the academic side in the collaboration with Student Life. So, you know, we're rethinking about our curriculum, our honors programs, our core curriculum. We're thinking about what we're offering in our core curriculum and what we want our students to take away from those. We're also reimagining our majors, adding some new majors into the mix, looking at what employers need into the future for things like, you know, we talked about leadership, business acumen, innovation, entrepreneurship, communication skills. All these things need to be built into the Mines education at all levels. And we need to recognize all the things our students are doing outside of the classroom that pertain to these various areas that I just mentioned. Things like the concrete canoe and the Formula One race car team. And there's just on and on things that our students are doing extracurricularly that we need to somehow recognize and let our employers and our faculty know and our students know that, and count that somehow in their graduation. So there's lots and lots of discussions right now about how we can maintain that rigorous Mines hands-on education, but add in these aspects of the education that employers want in the future engineer.
Thanks, Rick. Give any of the other panelists to make a few remarks before asking President Johnson to close things out. Okay. President Johnson.
Well, thank you, Brian. Hey, once again, thanks everybody for being here today. It was so much fun seeing that you were here, being here with us. I'm glad you got to hear a little bit about what's going on. I hope you get a sense. You know, number one, we got a great team here working on things. We're always trying to do stuff in the best interest of the students and moving the university forward at the same time. You know, my hope for the future, I always think of the future in the sense of what's the tour going to look like when you walk around, when you start in Stars or Welcome Center and you walk around campus, and what are the students, tour guide who's walking backwards the whole way, telling you about what's going on and everything. And you know what? What they're talking about is all the amazing things that they get to do at Mines that they couldn't have done anywhere else. the projects they get to work on, the fact that they're working on things that make a difference, the opportunities to interact with companies, which has always been a big part of our experience here at Mines. There, you know, what I always love to hear is when an alum comes back to school and takes the tour, and just the first thing you hear from them is, wow, I wish I could go back to Mines. You know, that's the experience I want, right? That's what I want to be able to do, and excited. And so I think we're going to get there. I hope that all of you, you know, particularly those of you who are parents of the class of 2024, our sesquicentennial class, you're going to see a lot of these changes happen as you go through here. Those of you who are alums, come back, get involved. Happy to walk you around, show you the new design classrooms. We'll tell you about what the innovation space and all the maker things and hands-on activities are going to be like. We're going to, you know, I think you will always see, no matter what time you come to Mines, you're going to see stuff you recognize. You're going to see the emphasis on work ethic and fundamentals and hands-on stuff. But you're going to see new stuff that where Mines is just always on the leading edge of what's necessary to produce those top graduates that we really need to go out there, just like all of our past generations have done. So thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for supporting Mines. And I know we'll follow up with a number of you on your questions that we didn't get to answer tonight. And you know, let's all hope for a great fall semester, and go Ore Diggers.
Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.